And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another Unscripted and Unchained RPG review live stream. And today I have the great pleasure of introducing Thom Wilson. So originally, just so you all know, I was inviting Thom on because he is the first game convention organizer that I was going to have on the channel. And then I came across his Kickstarter, which just started today, this morning. And I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, this guy is really hitting it out of the park as far as it comes to the gaming and the interests that I absolutely love, because he is combining Robert E. Howard storytelling and and adventures with Shadow Dark. So I mean, he brought two of the things that I'm really stoked about. One future and one from my early past of when I just started really getting into science fiction and fantasy, and Robert E. Howard, as you can see behind me, is my #1 favorite author. And so it's really great to have you on here, Thom, and I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll get rolling right into our conversation.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and talking with you. It was Robert E. Howard is one of my favorites as well. I mean, he's up there with Tolkien and a few others. I've always loved Conan and Robert E. Howard's work. And when Shadow Dark came out, I always felt like when I first read it, it felt like it's not Morkborg gritty. That's a different feel. This was, Shadow Dark had more of I could see it bending into the more the Hyborian feel. So that's when I started doing a couple short brochure adventures for it. And now we have a full-blown one in the Slumbering City, which launched today. I'm also, some people know me as Thom from THrowiGames. I've written about 100 different games, adventures, supplements, etc. Most are found on Drive-Thru. And I also run, I started and run ShireCon, which is a convention in September, 1.5 days. And this will be 2024 will be our 6th year. Mm-hmm. That's my claim to fame.
Yeah. Well, actually, I found more. So you're an award-winning designer, correct? So you've won 2 awards for one-page dungeons.
Yeah. So the first year they had one-page dungeon, I submitted a solo adventure, and that won. And then a couple years later, I collaborated with Glenn Seal of Monkey Blood Design and submitted another one that won. He did the artwork and maps, of course, because that's what he's really known for, although he's an outstanding writer as well. But I happened to have an idea that we collaborated on, and I wrote it and he drew the map for it, and it won as well. So those are fun to do. I really enjoy those. That one-page dungeon has come a long way from the beginning, for sure.
Yeah. So for my subscribers and viewers and everything, so I first met Thom 2 years ago, I guess, two ShireCons ago. So that was my first introduction to ShireCon, and I was like, all right, cool. This one's only about 40 minutes away from my home, and there weren't that many conventions in the Mid-Hudson, New York area. Connecticut is literally, like I said, 40 minutes away or so. And this was also just following COVID, so it was really the first time that you could actually get out of the house and go to a convention. Yeah. And, so I went to this con, and I believe it was just about 100 people involved, and about 100 people went. And it was incredible. It was I have to tell you, it was an absolute incredible feeling because, I had spent prior to that about 4 years of nothing but running games online, so virtual tabletops, and, whether it was, Google Plus, and then later on, Discord and others. So to be in person again and in such a small con, and just, every game I was excited to play, and I didn't run anything the first year that I went, and I just played in games, and it was the first time that I was playing in DCC, and then I played in AD&D Second Edition, and then something else. I forget what the other one was. It's been such a great experience going to conventions these last 2 years, and so ShireCon really launched my return to going to conventions, and that led to like last year. So last year's convention, I was like, I'm running stuff, and so
Good.
I ran Weird Frontiers and had a great time, a blast doing that. And then the rest of the time, I just wanted to, wanted to play in other games, because ShireCon's a great place, nice and small, but you'd be surprised at how many different kinds of games that you can play in. So I'll let you talk about that as well.
Sure. So you had the good fortune of coming to year 4 and 5, where 4 was still a 1 day and 5 was a 1+ day, we'll call it, with the 4th session on Friday night. And this year we intend on having 1.5 days, so we're gonna have 2 sessions on Friday, 3 on Saturday. So we'll actually get a total of 5 game slots, which opens up more games. And hopefully brings more people. We get all sorts of games. When I first decided I wanted to start a convention, I really was talking with the people that I played with the most, either online or at other conventions. So naturally, the games that I played brought more of the same kind of people. So I tend to play old school games. And everybody I knew that I played with played old school games. So next thing you know, when first ShireCon happened, there was 16 or 18 games set up that day. All of them were old school games, and not a single one was a modern game. Right. And that trend has sort of continued as throughout the years. Yeah, we get a little bit of newer games, or I'll call them convention games, or games that are just brand new that people want to try out. Like, Morkborg was big last year. I'm sure Shadow Dark will be big this year. Yeah. There'll be, we've seen other games. I'm sure Dragon Slayer will be played this year. Greg Gillespie's game. So we see a lot of that, those new games that come out that people want to try out. But the ones that are there every year that are always played are Hyperborea, BX or OSE, DCC, a little MCC, but mostly DCC. What else do we see? We get some OD&D, but a lot of Hyperborea, a lot of BX. Yeah. So, and that tends to bring in that crowd. So, with that, we tend to see people that are more apt to play those games, but we also try to recruit people to the con that are obviously local and that want to just play games. And sometimes, there's some people that are like that want to play 5e and only 5e, and we don't have a lot of those games. Although we are trying to get people to be a little more diverse in the games that they run, to try to get some of the younger crowd in, or people that are only familiar with the newer versions of D&D. But we got room to grow. We've got a place that can handle probably double what we had last year. We're trying to get up to 150 this year, I think is a good number. I don't think I'll ever grow it any larger than 2 to 250. That's probably the maximum. I don't want it to be big. I don't want it to be 400 or 500 people. It gets unmanageable for a handful of people. As you saw last year, it's me, and my wife helps out, and my 3 kids help out, and a bunch of volunteers that are friends, good friends throughout the years. I don't want to be, trying to recruit more volunteers and try to make more things happen. I don't want to do panels. I don't want to do live auctions. I want it to be just gaming. We do silent auctions, which is fun because you don't have to be sitting around, waiting for your thing to come up while you're missing games. Here you get to play games and do your silent auction at the same time and maximize your experience. So I want to keep it small, keep it quaint, intimate. I do want to expand the game, sort of the game list a little bit. I do want to see a little more 5e. I do want to see I'd love to see someone run Traveler. I'd love to see someone run Star Frontiers. I'd love to see some different games just to give people different experiences. But 5e will bring in some of the younger crowd or new to role-playing games. So I feel like we need a little bit more of that. And I'm going to be pushing some people that I know that haven't come to ShireCon that run 5e. I'm going to see if I can get them and root them in and let them run some games for people that want to play those games.
Right. Yeah. I know specifically, like when I went, I ran Weird Frontiers last year, and I'm certainly looking to run. Now I'm an old school gamer too, so although Weird Frontiers is a new game, I definitely experienced that there as well, because there were some there. There were, I think, more younger people at the last at last year's than there was the previous year.
Definitely.
And they were a little bit gun shy, I think, of going to or going outside of that box. And we were talking a little bit about that before we went live. Is I think that's the challenge, is for us old school gamers out there to make our games accessible to younger players, and try to I'm formerly a teacher by trade, so I try to get people to see how they're not all that much different, and even though I wasn't successful last time in getting those two early teens players to actually engage into the actual gameplay, but I certainly tried to make them feel that they were welcome, and that and the game system isn't that much different. And that's the challenge, I think, across the board. And games like Shadow Dark is a great bridge for that kind of a thing. So we'll see what 2024 brings as far as what's going to happen with that 5e player base as Wizards of the Coast moves forward with whatever they're going to end up calling that. And a lot of those people might actually be looking to broaden their horizons and go to different game systems and at least give them a try. And small cons are a great place to do that in. So that's something that I think everyone should really take a look at, attending a smaller convention rather than get overwhelmed with these really super large ones, like a Gen Con or a Game Hole or any of those things. If that's your first con experience, that's a totally different ball game.
It's a big bite.
That was my first con experience was Gen Con 18 in 1985. I mean, to me, that was like huge. This kind of a setting, I think, is a perfect setting to attend your first convention. Something small, under 200, is perfect, I think.
It is. It is. I think if you've never been to a convention before and are sort of worried about how it works, ShireCon is a good first experience because we've got great volunteers that help you through everything. We have pretty simple a simple layout from the facility perspective. We have a simple game slot design. It's like they don't overlap. You don't have to worry about being running late on this one and not making it to the next one. Everybody fits into the 5 slots and runs those games. The slots are a mixture of either 3 hours or 4 hours, depending on what you want to run or play. So it's a really good, I think, good starting convention for new players. It's also great for making good friendships with new people and then playing with them every year. I mean, we've got people that have come to all 5 that play this with the same groups or same people in their games and have a great time. And I think it's good for both new con experience, and those people who have been to every one that want to just keep coming. So we'll grow again. We're going to grow it slowly, organically. I did some this last year was the first time I advertised in Massachusetts.
Mhm.
So for those that don't know where ShireCon is, I am 10 minutes from the New York State border, 10 minutes from the Massachusetts border in Connecticut. So that means I'm in that tri-state corner. I can dip into New York State, Massachusetts, Connecticut. Last year, I advertised a lot in Great Barrington and Pittsfield, which I hadn't done in previous years, and I definitely got some people from there. This year, I'm going to go south more in Connecticut. I'm going to push down to the Waterbury area and see if I can get people that are within an hour, and see if I can get recruit down there. And then west, we'll just keep pushing past Hudson and keep going west until it's, I mean, obviously you want to be able to get the people who can drive it. Not everybody wants to stay overnight, but if you can, there's lots of Airbnbs and bed and breakfasts in the area that would love to have your business. So
right, yeah, and that's the thing. Like the reach that the reach that it has because of its location. I mean, New Canaan, Connecticut, in case anyone is wondering, and
North Canaan.
North Canaan. North Canaan.
New Canaan's a little south of us, but North Canaan,
right.
sure.
That's
all right. Everyone does that. That's normal.
Yeah, was that the first place or was it just Canaan?
No, the first place was Canaan.
Okay.
Which is also known as Falls Village, but now we're in North Canaan. So
North Canaan. All right.
Which is more north of Canaan, believe it or not.
So now it was because of ShireCon that I actually, talking about, Massachusetts, it was from ShireCon that I learned about Rising Phoenix Game Con in Massachusetts. And so that became my other go-to. So I go to two conventions religiously now. All right. And that's because they're both, very local. Yours is more local than that one. But that takes me about 3 hours to get to. So certainly drivable. And, and if I wanted to not stay overnight, even though I choose to do so, but that's certainly doable.
Sure.
The other thing I was really impressed about the last ShireCon was that there's a lot of creators there that are running their own games, and I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. So we have so let's see. We've got Planet X, Levi Combs, who has his own work that he brings and he runs those games. There's a lot of play testing of new material, which is great. Yeah. You have Jeff Talanian, who of course created Hyperborea, formerly known as Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea, right? So now it's just Hyperborea, which is nice. Yeah. He runs his games, and a lot of people run his game there. Silver Boulet is there, and they run usually their own adventures. They're leaning more towards DCC these days and MCC, so you'll see a lot of that from them. You get Joe Block there, who's running a lot of his own Adventures Dark and Deep and Greyhawk work, which is great. And if you ever need to know anything about Greyhawk, he is the guy to talk to.
Yes.
Let's see who else gets there. I don't want to forget anybody. We get some authors and we get some guests that have written a few things here and there. I don't want to. There's been many of them over the course of 5 years, but we get a lot of creators. We get a lot of people who are familiar with writing and publishing. We get artists, of course, who do work in the fantasy RPG and science fiction RPG world. It's a great bunch of people who are, they're great to collaborate with, that like to run their games and like to, show off the things that they've written. So you get people there that are running something that's been written, 45 years ago. An old TSR module, or you get some guys that are always creating new stuff. Like Anthony Merida likes to do. He likes to run a continuing game over 2 or 3 sessions. So he'll run something that ends, and you don't have to take part in part 2 and part 3. But if you do, it's just a continuation.
Right.
And he's usually doing Hyperborea or AD&D, I think 1st edition or 2nd edition. So. You get a lot of people, and like Anthony's been there all 5 years. I mean, his brother Mark's been there all 5 years. I mean, these guys just keep coming back, which is great, and we keep adding new people, and that's why their numbers keep growing.
Right.
the way they do. But yeah, we have a lot of creators. It's a blast. I don't get to run any of the games that I write, except for I do run Tavern Brawl, which is like a 15 to 16 player PvP, fast paced, uh, three level tavern, just chaos. And it's a game I invented that I like to run at cons, and I run that in the last session of the weekend, sort of my gift to myself for all the work to set up the con and run it. I wish I could go play games and run other games. I just obviously cannot when I'm running a con, but that's the only thing that I run. So if you can get into that game, it's a lot of fun. So
yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share a screen, and we're going to talk a little bit about your newest Kickstarter.
Sure.
All right. So this is always fun trying to share a screen. Let's make sure it's going to work. Yes, it will. And we are going to share. And so here is your Kickstarter, and I'll refresh it just to make sure that it's currently at 3169, 165 backers. I will scroll down, but you can talk and describe it. I can't run your video because then I'll get copyright stricken for the music.
Sure, no problem. Yeah. Video is short anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I could run it without the volume, but they wouldn't be able to see the scrolling.
I think if they want to go look at the video on their own time, it's only 30 seconds, so it's not. Yeah. There's plenty in the body of the Kickstarter project to look at. Right. So I just launched this today at 10 a.m. So we're not even 12 hours in, and it's already done that well, which is for me is fantastic. I've had. My two best projects have been the Back to Basics compilation hardcover, which was 17,000, which is my best project. And then I did a low-level Tomb of Horrors type of adventure for Old School Essentials that made 3,300. So I'm already likely to pass my second best project here in day one, which I think is hysterical. So the Slumbering City is really a Hyborian Shadow Dark. So it's Robert E. Howard's work mashing up with Shadow Dark. This adventure here is loosely based on the Slithering Shadow, which is a famous Conan story. The only Conan story where Conan is mortally wounded and will die if it's not for a draught from a fountain that is given to him at the very end where he's refreshed, but otherwise he was going to die after fighting the big bad in that story. So it's a city in the desert. You find a lot of weirdness going on, so it has a lot of really just can be dark and strange and weird, very Robert E. Howard esque, where it's just perplexing. When I ran it at Page, the players were just trying to figure out what is going on in the city, and they had all these ideas, and they kept going, testing and trying to figure out what's happening, and they eventually got it, which is by design, and they really had a fun time with it. They never got to the big bad, but they got to the next worst thing, which ended up killing most of the party because we were over our time, and they wanted to sort of just end in a big flash. So I don't think they would have gone the way they did if we weren't over our time and they wanted to wrap it up. So, but it was it's been a joy to write. It's not like it's the story verbatim. Obviously, it's loosely based on, and it's very Shadow Dark in its design. It has quick descriptors and it's got a little bit of meat, but the GM should have a little extra, a good read through and a little extra notes on their own to help kind of flesh it out a little bit further. There's a lot of room for random stuff to happen. It's a city, but not every single building is planned encounters. So there's a lot of random rolls you can do to sort of fill out some of the extra space. It's a really fun little adventure, and I really enjoy mashing up Conan or Hyborian and Shadow Dark. I will be doing more of that because it's very it's a perfect union, I think, of a game system and sort of a genre. I mean, obviously, Talanian does Hyperborea, which is the same thing. It's it's got that it's got that Conan style. He's just got a full world, and it's just there's a lot more there. Obviously, this is just kind of like you're going to take a little Stygian city in a desert and get immersed in a little bit of Howard's work.
Right.
So it's doing well. It's already passed 4 stretch goals. It's cruising along. We're going to make some characters. We're going to some pre-gens. Will one of those be sort of like a Conan? I bet there will be. I'm going to try to make the characters very Hyborian. So they'll be obviously we're not going to use any names. I'm not going to get I don't want to be chased down by Howard's estate. But we'll definitely have some characters that are familiar feeling.
Right.
We'll have so I have a bunch of brochure adventures, a couple that were written for Old School Essentials that were based on other Conan Howard stories that I'm going to convert to Shadow Dark and give free to the backers. I'm going to create a brand new one that I'm calling Last Son of Atlantis. If you're familiar with one of the very first stories of Conan, where he finds he's being chased by wolves, he finds a hillside tomb with a giant with the Atlantean sword. That's the story that you'll get out of the brochure adventure, which is a great fun story. And then we'll see what takes us if we get to 4,000, which it looks like we're going to. I've got some other plans that we're going to start to introduce and make some really interesting content for to support this. So the book is done. I have 2 pieces of art outstanding. The cover here that you're seeing is Luis Prado. If you can scroll down a little bit, you can see sort of the cover, the full cover, back and front's all right there. So that cover was done by Luis Prado out of Brazil. He's phenomenal. His work is amazing. So that's an actual front and back cover. There's a Stygian White right there by I believe that's Jared Bender. Yep, Jared Bender. He's done a couple pieces in here. I have a few others by Jeff Madding and Joey Dossel and Mark Lyons. It's going to be printed in Lulu, print on demand. Right. I like what they're doing. They're really trying to help creators be a one-stop shop for creating and printing product, which I really love. They're doing saddle stitch still, which is my favorite. Since Drive-Thru stopped doing saddle stitch, I don't like perfect bound and small books, so I like Lulu for that, and their quality is beautiful.
Yeah. Here's the stretch goals in case anyone is curious. So we're already
at the getting close to the 4,000, which I think is great. So
hope by tomorrow morning it'll be there, guaranteed.
But I've already got plans for that and beyond. So we'll be fleshing those out in the coming days.
But here we have so 2 custom Shadow Dark characters designed specifically for the adventure, a 3rd custom, a 4th custom. So we're already up to 4.
Right.
Converting the 7th brochure adventure, the thing with 1,000 heads. And then we have another one. So Isle of the Ancients, which you mentioned already.
Yep.
And the 9th one.
That'll be the Last Son of Atlantis right there.
Right. The map by Ian McCarty.
Out of Silver Boulay, right? He's he's one of the writers and map makers there.
So no AI art. All right. So are used in this product, or writing or art is used in this product. So that's kind of interesting. And I know we probably don't want to get too much into the weeds with that, but that's the big buzz right now, right? Is so in some cases it's getting blocked. Yours is actually the first one I've seen that actually has the logo on there.
Right. I actually. So that logo was created by Jim Wampler of Mud Puppy Games, and we have a group of guys that all work together. And this is the 4th book that I've put that logo on. So I'm pretty. I'm in the IT industry in my day job, and And I understand what AI is good for and what it can be used for, but when it comes to creative work like writing and art, I still believe that I like the human touch. Now, I had a conversation with somebody online today that wasn't sure about that. About my stance on it. I said my stance doesn't matter. I'm just telling you. I'm just alerting the customer to the product that has no AI in it. That's all. I'm just saying there's nothing in there here. If you like AI art, great. If you don't like AI art, great. All I'm saying here is that this doesn't have it in it. It's all human created, and I like to be upfront with people. So
nope. It's always good to be transparent. Bottom line, it's not even making like a strong stance. It's just saying there's none here. In case you're wondering, there's none in here, and I think that's a great approach to have. So I also want to talk about how what levels people can back at.
Sure.
Actually, let me organize this a little bit better for my viewers. So we will go back up to the front here, and then let's get this going. Let's try to get the best of both views. So you can see what I chose. So, and there's no more left. Fine print. Thank God I got in here. I was like,
there are only 10 of those.
I think I was the 6th, So I was like, thank God I got it. So yes.
That one's actually, so I will get, instead of having the print on demand drop shipped to the customer's address, those 10 will come to me. I will then sign them, and then I always put a little extra something in there. You might get like a ShireCon magnet or a brochure adventure or something. I'll throw in there, and then I'll mail those out. I'll sign them obviously, and I'll mail them out directly to the customers from me. So the cost really is me putting in the extra stuff, double mailing because I got to pay for it mailed from Lulu to me, and then me back out to the customer. So it's a double mailing there. But yeah, I only do a handful usually every project because I don't want to be touching every single book, and all 10 were gobbled up already. So that's not available if you're looking for it.
I don't know.
The common ones, go ahead.
I was going to say, I might have to drive to you to pick it up and it'll be faster because we have the horse and buggy, mail postal service here. It could take up to 10 days for certain things to get to be here because I really think we only have like 2 mail carriers. One that plays and the one that delivers. But it's gotten better, but they are they're sometimes slow. But anyway, and then sometimes like our mailing in my particular area, I've had things go through Massachusetts and then back to Jersey and then to Newburgh and then finally New Windsor, which is I guess the main routing thing. I'm like, what the hell is this package doing? I mean, this package has passed me like 3 times before it finally gets to me. But usually once it hits New Windsor, I'm like, all right, that's, it's going to get to me probably by tomorrow, kind of thing. But
we have the same problem with Springfield, Massachusetts. It goes to Springfield. It'll come down to Hartford and back to Springfield again. I don't know what they're doing, but it just gets moved around. So
because I know Springfield is one of the hubs.
Yeah.
Springfield is a hub because I've seen my packages go to Springfield, then Albany, then back to, back to Springfield in one case. So it's like, all right. But anyway, so $35, that's gone now. Sorry.
Right.
But $7 for a PDF. Now this is nearly 40 pages long.
Correct.
And so $7 for a PDF, that is a bargain. If you compare it to other things on drive-through in particular, and the fulfillment here is from drive-through. So very, very reasonably priced. Print on demand, $17 still for a 40-pager. That's not bad at all. And that's it. I mean, there are very, very reasonable prices to back this thing. And, I certainly, if you are a Robert E. Howard fan, if you're a Shadow Dark fan, if you like both of them combined up, I was like, oh my gosh, when you first announced this thing, I was like, just take my, I think I even put that out, take my money now. So I was in on this, right from the get-go.
Mhm.
And Robert E. Howard stories, because that was my weird frontiers that I ran at ShireCon was Robert E. Howard's, horror from the mound, converted to Weird Frontiers. I mean,
Nice.
we were, pretty much on the same page there.
Yep.
His short stories and the, even the comic books. The comic books are so easy to translate
Hmm.
to a system like Shadow Dark. Especially if you're doing like Savage Sword of Conan,
Yep.
stories or Roy Thomas stories. Those will translate very, very well. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, I'm a huge fan of both, and I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to this.
So I mean, with this, I mean, with a print on demand or PDF, I mean, you're getting 40 pages, but you're also getting 6 pages of brochure adventures that are Robert E. Howard
Right.
Conan
Yep.
style. You're also getting 4 pre-gens that are going to be, Hyborian style.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of good content, I think, for what you're getting in price wise.
Yeah.
I just wanted to just expand a little bit on the 2 other brochure adventures. So
Mhm.
the thing with 1,000 Heads is based on that story where Conan's running from lions and goes into a broken tower, and then bandits come in, or I think they're slavers, and then this thing of all these dead um, people, sacrificed victims, I think,
Mhm.
first manifests as sort of like this essence mist thing, and then it comes to life and just wipes out all the bandits. And in that story, Conan just jumps out the top window and runs for it. He
Yeah.
doesn't even fight it, which I think is great. And the Isle of the Ancients is based on obviously the famous story of where the famous little island where Belit
Mhm.
dies. So where the winged
Yeah.
ape and the jackals or the
Yeah.
hyenas, I forget which one they are. So that brochure adventure is based on that story.
Right.
So if you like any of those stories, I try to give you something very close to the story, but
Mhm.
I change it so that it fits with a role playing
Right.
game, and then with Shadow Dark, it just comes together nicely. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a super simple system to pick up for the first time and to just play in it. And so again, it does bridge that divide between the younger modern player and still having that old school feel to it.
mhm.
So really, really excited about that.
Yeah, I
So
mean, and if you also think about some of Robert E. Howard's stories with Conan,
Mhm.
if two real good examples come to mind where the darkness ends up being so deadly, right? First, you have Red Nails, where you have the crawler, right, that
Right.
is following them in underground, and then the Slithering Shadow, the one that
Mhm.
this one's based on. Same
Yeah.
thing. You go down in the dark, and it gets very challenging, and I think
Yeah.
that's why I think his stories and Shadow Dark just mesh perfectly.
Yes. All right, I'm going to stop sharing so we get back to full view
Yep.
here. All right. Yeah, so really, really excited about it. Really looking forward to so 2024 ShireCon number 6,
Yeah.
September. The dates for that are what, September 18th,
20th
19th?
and 21st.
Oh, was it 20,
20 and 21st. Yep.
20 and
20.
21st? So
It's always the weekend of or before Bilbo's birthday.
oh, that's interesting.
So
So
I
I
always try
will
to make it easy to remember.
yeah, I will obviously bring that up during our, bring that up as we get closer to it, and
Sure.
I'll start really pushing for that. Once I get past my next con, then there's another one that's local by me, but it's tiny,
Mhm.
and that's AutoCon. I think there was only like 20 of us there. But last year was like the first or possibly even the second year of it. But like I said, my cons now are my go-tos are yours and Rising Phoenix and
Mhm.
maybe Philly. Philly was a really good, experience. Unfortunately, with the snow, I had to bail on it a lot earlier than I was, certainly hoping to. I didn't even get past Saturday morning with it, so I was like, damn, it's just unfortunately just wasn't able to, hang there longer. Still had a great experience Friday and but at least I got to see you there. And, as I, made my rounds around and I, saw Joseph Block and played in Frank Metzer's game. And that was just a phenomenal experience to play.
That's always good.
Game and that was just very, very exciting to do that. Finally meet him as well, because I never, obviously never met him before. And, they had great panels and stuff, those kinds of things. Quite a glimpse of Professor Dungeon Master. Actually, we rode down in the elevator, but he was talking to, I think, Greg Gillespie.
Probably.
I didn't want to interfere or anything. I was like, I'm just going down to grab a bite to eat in the hotel, and that's it. I think they were pretty much doing the same thing. So, but YorCon, I mean, the last ShireCon, there's, quite a few YouTubers there. I mean, so it was, myself and Eric Tenkar and Tom from Tabletop Tap Room, and
Joe the lawyer was there.
Joy the lawyer was there, and we're
trying to get Hobbs there, I think, this year.
Hex Press was there as well. I always forget his first name.
I can't remember either.
Yeah, but he was there as well. Actually, some of them played in my game, and that's another thing. Like, you'll meet people that are like kind of involved in the hobby and pushing the hobby and just trying to get, and like I said, I mean, designers there. There was the other game that I played was Swords of the Serpentine. What's his name? Is it Kevin Culp? Kevin Culp? I forget his.
I can't remember. I'm I'm horrible with names, so I can't remember who runs that. But
that was an awesome game. That was an incredible game. I had such a good time.
We had Brian Shutter from Neon Lords there, which was awesome. We had one of the creators of the Dark Master, which is the Roll Master sort of D100 replacement, which was very cool. That was really neat to see him there and see his product. And, I got a copy of it, which is very nice. A lot of creators. It's a wild thing that I don't think people realize how many good creators there are sort of in this New England area.
Yeah.
And in New England, then count Jersey and New York if you want, but in that area, and it's just, we're going to get Greg Gillespie down, I think, this year.
Oh, that'll be cool.
It's not a hard ride for him. He just comes down into like the Buffalo and then flies over to Bradley. So it won't be bad. We'll probably get him, another creator. Dragon Slayer will be brand new and everybody will want to look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, just a lot of good creators want to come, and I just love it. It's phenomenal to see everybody come and, play games, run games, and hang out. So we're going to try to do a few more things differently this year. I've got some plans on some layout changes. Obviously, I already said that we're going to have an extra slot, which is good. We're going to try to do some things, try to get the community more involved. They didn't believe that I was going to bring that many people in, so they didn't really. I said, there's a place across the street. I asked them to stay open late, and they're like, yeah, we'll do that. But then they didn't, because they thought I was kidding when I said we were going to have over 100 people. And then when they saw over 100 people, they weren't ready for it. So I think this year we're going to make sure they're ready to go.
Yeah.
We got guys that want to stay out late, want to eat late, drink late, hang out late. So we're going to see if we can really push them to work with us to stay open later. We're going to work with the brewery a little bit more. We got some ideas on having some on some cans maybe for ShireCon, and a few other things. So we already got the logo, which I think looks like this.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get it.
And the logo is by Chet Minton. All right.
No,
So,
these are by Travis Hansen.
oh, okay.
Yep, Travis Hansen does these. Although Chet did the had all the art in my exclusive ShireCon adventure last year. So
Oh, okay.
yep.
Oh, I thought
Chet
that
did the book. Yep,
he does the book. Okay.
yep.
Um, and the poster, I thought, right?
Oh,
For
he sells all his artwork and stuff. So
yeah,
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 you
he
got
does a lot of
posters from
stuff.
Chet. Yeah. Travis does the logo, and Travis does some other work for me for other products and projects that I have. But he doesn't want to let go of the logo. He wants to do logo every year until I tell him we're not doing it anymore. So
Yeah,
he's done all five,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
actually he almost created two for me this year, and the one he didn't do, we're gonna save for next year. So
yeah.
this year's the ball rod. So
Yeah, I have the first two T-shirts. Always have the T-shirts. Actually, I should have wore that.
nah,
So, but yeah, I do have I have my last 2 years worth of T-shirts, and
good.
I'll try to keep them. Have the full run. See maybe
Yep,
once I get to the 10-year mark. Then I'll be like, all right, let's do some, maybe bring them and show them, or maybe do
sure.
giveaways or something,
We
uh
might we might do something crazy for year 10, like have all the logos or all 10 years all on one shirt, like front
oh,
and
that
back
would
or
be cool.
something. We
Yeah,
might do something crazy. We've talked about it, so we'll figure it out. We're many years from 10, so we'll gotta get through six first. Number
yeah.
six.
Maybe patches would be nice, to
Patches
have
we
a,
thought about. We also thought about ball caps. Nice little ShireCon logo on the front of your hat. Um,
yeah,
got some ideas. Yeah, so we're gonna change up some things this year. We went all out on year 5 to really make it like a special year. We're gonna, based on the cost of the venue, I'm gonna rein it back a little bit. We're gonna expand it for more game sessions and more
right,
players, but we're gonna not throw out so much money into all the swag and stuff that we did, because they gave me a good discount for year 1 at the theater, but
right,
this year they're not going to. So I've got to really work my spreadsheets and figure out what
right.
my costs are. So we may have to cut back on a couple of things, but that's okay, because I think the experience is really more about playing with everybody
Yes,
and running games and playing
yeah,
games more than anything else. So
absolutely, yeah, yeah. I mean, the swag bags are nice, but but the point is that you're really there for the experience, and
right,
that's what is going to be, the most memorable thing, is the
right,
you know is the experience that you're going to have, gaming, and meeting people, and just the whole atmosphere of the con is just incredible. So I give you great props on that, is that for a con just to have that real feel to it, as small as it is, and nice to see that it's growing, and that I think is a real positive, is like when you have something that's that is showing signs that of growth, and expansion and stuff. But I really do agree with you that once you start crossing over into, well, this is a mid-sized con now, you kind of lose some of that,
mhm,
you know, um, you kind of lose some of that experience, I think.
right. Yeah, we
So
want to keep it. We want to keep it small.
yeah.
We want to keep it quaint and intimate.
Hmm.
We like the new town we're in, as far as the venue and the surrounding restaurants and places
Hmm.
to stay. I don't wanna
Yeah.
make it big. I just don't. I
Yeah.
mean, it runs it runs because it's small, and it
Hmm.
runs because I have a good group of dedicated volunteers that
Yeah.
really push hard, to make sure it goes off well. They're willing to work hard and do whatever it takes to make sure everybody has a good time. And like I said, my wife and my 3 kids are in that group, and they really help me make
Hmm.
sure it works out great. So
Cool.
yeah,
Okay, so we will take one more look at the Kickstarter, and then we'll start wrapping things up.
sure.
So I will add that. So we should be looking at the Kickstarter once again, and let me just refresh it to see. 3176.
Yep.
All right, so
It's
166 backers, and again, definitely check this out. I wish I could hit this without the sound, but it's like you know, it's like even with the creator on the screen, it's like they still hit you with a copyright. I was like, the person, I mean, it's like,
I mean, it's a 30-second video that just gives out the basics, and if people are interested, they can watch it and take 30 minutes out of their day to look at it. So
no,
not 30 minutes, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Yeah.
So last thing I was gonna, ask about is, so what are your other 2024 plans?
So I have been working two very large projects for the last 3-4 years, slowly but surely, banging away at them. Sometimes they get put on hold, sometimes they get delayed, or sometimes I get good time to work on them. What I told myself I was going to do in 2024 is I was going to dial everything back and try to finish those both by the end of the year. They're both very big. Have required a lot of time and money to produce, but I want to get them done. And they're going to take up a lot of my time this year, so I'm dialing back. I'm not going to. This Kickstarter I have right now probably won't see another Kickstarter for me for a handful of months, maybe 4 or 5 months. I'm going to cut back on a few of the cons that I normally go to, just so that I can really focus on all my money is going into these projects. Because I mean, going to cons, they're fun, but they eat money, right? Unless you're selling something or going for free, you're not making any money at a con. So I'm going to probably pull back on a few of those just to make sure that I have the money set aside for all the extra art and all the work that's got to get done. And the goal is to try to finish these two big projects by the end of the year. Then after that, obviously it's TBD, but it's probably going to be back to heavy writing again. I've got some side work that I've got to do for Frog God Games. They need 3 adventures for me, and I've finished the first one, and I'm just shuffling it about a little bit. There may be some additional work for other companies throughout the year where I can fit it in, but really the goal is these 2 big projects. And come probably mid-year, I'll start talking about them more. Right now, I want to make sure that I get to a couple key points to ensure that I know I'm going to finish, right? I don't want to get excited about it and then go, oh, well, it looks like it's going to be 2025. I want to be able to make sure that I make the progress I plan to make, and then I'll start chatting up everybody about these things that I'm working on. So that's 2024. ShireCon, obviously, we'll go a couple big projects, a couple small Kickstarters like this one that I'm doing today, just to sort of, keep the toe in the water, the creative toe in the water, And then if somebody wants something from me, something short, like 10,000 words, I can usually bang that out pretty quick. I may do that for a few people who need it, but trying to really focus on these 2 things and get them done. So that's for 2024.
Oh, it sounds awesome. My 2024 is actually, pretty similar. I got a couple cons that I'm, getting ready for. Always write my adventures for what I run at the con, unless I'm doing something that is like, very prepackaged. Like I run Blade Runner, and Blade Runner is about to come out with another, another case file. But I ran the first case file from their starter kit, and that is awesome.
That's what I've heard.
Great convention game, absolute great convention game. And that's another thing I've been starting to realize, that certain game systems work really, really well for convention games.
Yes.
And then, just writing for conventions is a totally different, totally different thing, because you can take certain shortcuts because they're going to take you in every direction. So you could be a little bit more framework and a lot more flexible, that way. And yet you still have to remember that this whole thing has about 3 hours that it has to be done, and look for certain, trapdoors to, quick endings or whatever, or, so it's definitely a challenge. It's definitely something that's just a totally different experience. Playing in convention games is totally different. Like I learned, I've learned that 9 out of 10 times my character is going to die. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just the way it
100%.
goes. And maybe two, maybe two in the same game session. I, I'm,
Sure.
I'm I'm stunned that my character survived in Frank Metzner's game. I was like, 11 other player characters died in that adventure, and it was like, all right, we kind of wrapped it up at the end, and it was like, wow, I was like one of 4 people that survived this thing.
That sounds like a Frank game for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, no, it was definitely a meat grinder. It was like, you failed to roll, you were dead. I mean, it was basically that you made a wrong, decision, you were dead, kind of thing. And it was just a lot of fun that way. But yeah, I know that, writing for conventions or just writing small projects and everything, they sometimes they take a long time to, put together, and having a system like Shadow Dark, that's one of the games I'm running at my next convention, and I'm writing the adventure for it.
Mhm.
And it's a simple system to use
Yep,
to
very easy.
write.
Very easy. Yep.
I had already written one for Conan 2D20, which is not a simple system to write for, but but that was something that I wrote from back when it was a Kickstarter, so that's something I wrote back in 2017, and I've had time to tweak it and everything, and that works really well. And then I run Gangbusters, which I'm probably going to run a ShireCon,
Excellent.
because I think Gangbusters, the BX version of Gangbusters, so that's Mark Hunt's version of Gangbusters. I don't know how he secured that that license to do so, but awesome that he did.
Yeah.
But that's an awesome convention game to run as well. And again, I don't have to write that anymore because I've already have it, and I've run that at like 5 conventions already, and it's always a good crowd pleaser. I love to have Eric Tankar playing it because it's NYPD, in 1923. So I think he'd have.
You gotta tell him. Yeah. You gotta tell him. You gotta sit in this game.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
he'd love it. Actually, he would love that.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm glad that we touched bases at at Page at the Philadelphia Game Expo, and looking forward to we'll chat again, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Over the next couple of months and everything, and congratulations on the Kickstarter. I think it took about 20 minits to hit your goal.
Yeah, it did. It was very quick.
It went very, very quick, and looking forward to all of what you're going to produce for the next couple of months, and I will see you absolutely in September. Looking forward to that.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
All right. You all take care, and have a good night, everyone. And thanks for stopping in, Tom.